Hey everyone, thanks for joining today to hear a little bit about how we built a one-click migration over from Datadog to groundcover. What does it mean? Why do you care? I'm Or, VP Product here at Groundcover. I have with me Amir, Product Manager responsible for all things migrations and dashboards. Our Director of Product, Max, is very sorry he wasn't able to make it today. He got married, of all things. It is enjoying a quick honeymoon. So and back to work right after, of course. Cool. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to go over today, Amir. Let's click in and kind of talk about
Yeah.
the agenda. So we're going to talk about the motivation. Why do we as product people go and promote something like this? It seems like
Yeah.
sometimes we have endless capacity with the type of developers we work with. Quite the opposite. We need to choose really, really well. What do we decide to work on? What avenues do we open up? What do we feel like the things are that ultimately will pay the highest dividend, give our value, most value for our customers, and allow us to reach the widest pool of potential customers?
Mhm.
Two, what did we learn about throughout this process? How did we kind of go and approach this? What could you, as a product person listening to this, or R&D person, or any listener take away and as a builder of products go and take forward and take into your own world?
Yeah.
What is a successful migration? How could we make that as compelling as possible? How can we make it as meaningful as possible? What did we kind of think about as we were building it out? What did we do from a system perspective to go and to support this? What is success as a KPI? How do we want to go and measure that? How do we want to make sure that we get wide enough coverage, and yet we don't get bogged down in this and do nothing else for the next 5 years, because it really is endless, right? And last but not least, Amir is going to show us a deep dive and a demo, and he's going to look at real data kind of coming
Mhm.
in and be able to go and show us what you could expect as a customer taking this for a test drive. I will say kind of this is GA, this is being used today. This is 100% at your disposal. Every customer has access to it. So run with it, feel free, and we're here for you guys.
Yeah.
Let's click through and talk a little bit about motivation. So, why did we decide to spend our very valuable resources on this? Um, when we look at moving over between different products, look at switching vendors, customers think about one thing. They think about, well, primarily one thing. They think about first and foremost cost and experience. So,
Mhm.
from the cost perspective, the way that they break it down is what is the licensing cost? And ground cover is really, really attractive there because we do a bring your own cloud architecture. All of the data resides on the customer side. So that really complex matrix of what did you use and how much data did you send in, how much logs, how much traces, metric cardinality, none of that matters. We don't
Mhm.
have that like in Datadog and other legacy observability providers. You're only going to be charged based on your node and your host count. So you're going to have a really predictable way in order to go and pay, and it's going to be really attractive, and you're going to pay a lot less. So what about infrastructure? Because it's on your side, you're going to pay for the infrastructure. So that's really important, right? Yeah, absolutely. It's really important, and we've gotten very, very good at optimizing that and making sure that our total cost of ownership could save you 70+% versus Datadog and other legacy observability providers. So if it's not licensing and it's not infrastructure, then it's probably the cost of human capital. And a lot of times companies kind of underthink about just how much this hurts their end users to go and do, to think about a heavy migration process, to think about, all of the DevOps people, all of the engineers that you're going to need to go and have move over your existing dashboards and your alerting and your observability pipelines and all of these other assets in place. And so we kept hearing this and we kept seeing it, and it makes sense. Every company has been burned before by a migration project that is
Yeah.
extremely painful and basically stopped any meaningful work. Our customers are ultimately builders. They build their own application. They need to scale their own application. And in a lot of cases, these are hyperscaler companies, hyper growth companies, and we want to make it easy for them, and we want to make it a no-brainer for them to be able to go over and use their time in the best way possible. So about a year ago today, we decided to go on this journey and to start exploring what does a migration project mean, even though no other company has it in place. No other company has one-click migration, automatic migration, and
Yeah.
this is a little bit of the journey we're going to talk about now.
Yeah. Migrations are not fun, and to say the least. You spoke about the why. Do you want to give a few words about the what? What did we build?
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about the what soon. We're going to show it later, but I think it's important to say that there's levels to this, like anything of worth, right? We have this basic assumptions that you start with where you say, okay, a dashboard is a dashboard, an alert is an alert. But actually, when you think about it, a migration problem is a data problem. You need to be able to go and map your entire catalog of metrics. You need to be able to go and to make sure that you support all of the fundamental primitives that the aggregation agent that Datadog has, or New Relic has, or any other provider has. So you need to be able to go and support all of these things at the base, and you need to make sure that you have all of the data available. And I think one advantage that groundcover has is, of course, our eBPF sensor. We're able to go and to have this proprietary sensor that is ours. So if we wanted more data, all we needed to do was be able to go and add that in, and we could automatically connect that. We could deploy it as part of the customer's onboarding. Everything just kind of becomes easier and simpler because we own the stack end to end. And so as part of this project, we went through endless metrics, and we decided what actually is meaningful, what is not meaningful, what should we add in, and making sure that we kind of get the biggest bang for our buck over there and give our customers the biggest bang for our buck.
Yeah. Interesting.
So LLM isn't a silver bullet. You want to talk a little bit, Amir, about what do you think that means?
Yeah, I think that the story began maybe half a year ago when we started to work on an LLM agent that we thought will easily migrate monitors and dashboards from other vendors, right? We were naive and we thought that, you can just, take a PDF, JSON export, give it to the LLM, teach the LLM a bit about groundcover, give it access to the docs, and it will be easy, right? But the truth is that it's not that easy, and it worked pretty well. And you looked at the original monitor schema, and then the originated the output of the LLM. And it looks good, but not good enough. And we must have trust in this process, right? The users
Absolutely.
must trust that the original monitor and the output monitor are just the same.
Yeah. I remember when we think back, and I think it's been almost a year. You said 6 months, but it's been a little bit longer than that even.
Yeah.
And we looked at the results over here of what it was creating, and you could run it 10 times and get 10 different results. And I think that's when, for me at least, I had a little bit of this bad feeling, because I said migrations need to be deterministic. It can't be that you run it one time and you get a certain metric, and you run it another time, you get another metric. And it makes sense, because if you look at the memory metrics that are available to you, you probably have 15 memory metrics available. Each one has a slightly different meaning. And just like a person could potentially confuse them, so LLM confuse them, because they didn't necessarily have the context around what that monitor was doing to the same way that the person who originally wrote it did.
Yeah.
So that for me was a big one in this journey, to go and say, okay, we're going to go and actually figure out how to map each one, build out this catalog that we have on our side between originating metric and our destination ground cover metric, and map between that entire world. And I think that was a big step here. Now, after that, I think what we try to go through is to basically validate the highest risk, or to go and to understand at every point in time, there are things that we're uncertain about, and we're not sure if they are feasible or are not feasible, are possible or not possible, because
What
other
can you give an
people,
example for that?
there's endless examples that we could give over here, right?
Yeah.
How about you give me an example, actually?
Yeah, I think that the most complicated and most important part of it, or core component, is the query language translation, right? We this is the um, the most basic level of once you have the data in. This is the basic level of each widget and each monitor, right? So we must have a one-to-one translation between metrics queries to ground cover metrics SQL queries, and so as SQLs to ground cover new query language. So we invested
You've been living
heavily.
this. You've been
Yeah,
living this,
yeah,
right?
yeah. We invested heavily on improving our query language, especially for logs, traces, and events. And we switched from an object-like expression that we used in the past to a new expression. It's influenced by LogSQL, but it's not the exact syntax as LogSQL. And we built our own query language that we're very, very proud of. We had to also add multiple features that were missing, like joins or complex, say, groupings. And we battle tested this query language for a long time before we could migrate dashboards and monitors from other vendors. So this was, I think, one of the major things we invested in, and that was, yeah,
Definitely, definitely. I
complete.
think
Yeah.
everything around the query language itself, and showing that it is 100% complete, and enabling
Mm-hmm.
us to go and get that, trust, it allowed us to go and run forward, and any number of features came off the back of it. I think the
Yeah.
same thing could be said for the data layer as well, making sure that all of
Mm-hmm.
those metrics were there, making sure that everything was available, that they could go and all be consumed, and the footprint around it would still be minimal. I think that was a huge challenge over there that we needed to
Yeah.
validate, to kind of build off of that. And I think that the actual translation itself, right? We started very, very early to go and
Mm-hmm.
say, is it feasible to translate the entire universe of what could be created within Datadog to ground
Mm-hmm.
cover via queries? And I think that was where we had a lot of kind of thoughts in our mind of, could it be done or not? So kind of understanding very early on that that can be done, and then going and understanding how do we kind of break it into pieces to get to the point where it, it's just a long project to build out, really meaningful. And I think you mentioned it as well, but there's probably 70, 80 individual features that we built out and kind of knocked out, a day or two here, a day or two there. I wrote over here, the features are the easy part. So
Yeah.
the actual thinking through of the problem, the really hard inflection points around, do I change the way that we're approaching it fundamentally? That was the pieces that I think are the really important pieces. And then the actual feature build out, in my mind, there was no risk there at all, because we
Yeah.
knew that that's something that we know how to do, and we've been doing for the past 4+ years.
Yeah. Yeah, we mapped maybe 10K dashboards and monitors, and maybe even more from existing customers, to understand what are the most common widgets and monitor types and different query syntax, and to understand what is needed to be covered, right? And then just developing the features was definitely the easy part, maybe the fun part, but the easy one.
Most definitely. And
Um,
it's really interesting, because basically every time somebody is running the tool as well, what we're able to go and do is to flag the things that today um, are yet to be supported, and there's less and
yeah,
less of those every single day, and it's becoming a list that's extremely small. But it's kind of our way to get a very focused look into what do you product wise potentially want to be working on. I think as a product manager, this is gold, right? Like you strive for this data, you strive to get as much feedback and input as you can.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge. Um, we
I see a bullet here that LLM is a silver bullet. I'm confused. Um,
so it is a silver bullet, certain instances. Uh, but the one-shot approach wasn't what worked, right?
yeah.
It's not that LLMs can't be leveraged. It's not that LLMs can't help you write code extremely fast. It can't be that it allows you to make a 10x out of individual developers that are already a 10x, so 100x basically. Um, but the approach itself of saying, okay, I get one input, one output, and people are going to kind of go and run this as a side, as a professional services tool, that isn't fundamentally true. This needs to be part of the core product. It needs to be built in as big a part of supporting the biggest piece over here that you can, the widest scope that you can, is also in the case that something can't be supported or something didn't succeed, how do you reflect that back to the user the best way possible? Because the user ultimately knows how to migrate something. The issue here is you don't want to take 3 months of somebody's time. You want them to
Yeah.
go and have that 1 week that they want to invest to this project, and to understand how to invest that week in the best places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. So what is success? What did we think about when we kind of went to build this out? And we touched on it a little bit when we talked about earlier, but this was really important to me. Hyper fast. Like you're going to see it in the demo later. You could go and have hundreds of different alerts in place, and within seconds, everything is going to go and reflect the reality of the migration and allow you to go and move over and allow you to, take the actions off the back of that. And that hyper speed to me, that kind of uber fastness is something that makes users just want to use it, right? It makes it fun as opposed
Yeah.
to having it be something where you dread, where you need to go next, 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 and you have a 15-second loading time around each. So it didn't necessarily need to be like that. Somebody would probably be willing to wait 25 minutes to have it run, but we
Yeah.
wanted to make it be something that you love.
Yeah.
Um, why was deterministic so important to us, Amir?
I think the first three items here are all related, right? This is because it's deterministic, and we don't use LLM. It can be fast and it can be fun. And deterministic also mean you have trust in the process, right? As I said earlier, when you translate a query and one time it has this metric and the second time it will have this metric and maybe different aggregations or different filters, you won't have trust like which one of them is the right one. There must be only right one, right? Um, so deterministic is the key here. It's a deterministic process. It means that when we see something that doesn't work, we can flag it and give you a warning. Oh, this couldn't be translated because of this. And it gives you confidence and trust in the process, and also makes it fun and easy because it's so fast. You have like 2 clicks and then you can migrate 10K dashboards in like 2 clicks. So it's fun and easy, and you don't have to do much in this process.
Yep. We wanted it to be a project management solution as well. So migrations are the universal truth. It doesn't matter what type of migration you're talking about. It doesn't matter who within your team is doing it. It's painful. And at the end of the process, you just need a vacation, right? So we wanted to go and to make sure that status is built into the product itself, and itself reflects how far along are you. One, we've made it easier, obviously, we've made it less painful, but ultimately, when somebody comes and asks you how far along are you, it's very easy to go and say, okay, I have 722 monitors, and of those, we've migrated 572. We're at a pretty good place. We need this and this team to come in. We need some help from them. We need some buy-in from this other, or all common things within an organization, but you have that base where somebody comes and asks you, very, very easy how to do that. And the next piece here, I think, is just as important. It's not man in the loop, it's team in the loop. Migrations are a team effort. Not one person will have all of the tribal knowledge of the organization. You need to be able to go and to make sure that people could enter themselves at the right point to validate things, to say, yes, this looks good, continue, move it over, or to go and add custom mappings to say this metric moved over here. Actually, I'd like to use another one that's a custom metric that I go and bring in, or I would like to go into, have somebody else come in and take a look at this, and making sure that the entire team is taking part in this or could take part in this. To us, that was key. And I think, again, it can't happen unless it's built into the product itself.
Yeah, definitely.
And self-serve. So, Amir, everything we do here is self-serve. Everything we approach is self-serve. So when we went about this, we knew we wanted to have it be something that doesn't involve other teams. We want to make sure that we don't solve it via people. There's no professional services team that's offshore someplace that, solves problems via numbers. We wanted to make sure that everything's up front and center in the product. Everything is a first-class citizen. Everything allows you to run so that if this is the first time you're ever using ground cover, you could go and get value out of that at day zero, at minute zero.
Yeah, I think that these kind of processes are just not scalable, right? Without being self-serve, and it in with other vendors, this migration process might come with a cost because they need to pay someone to do it for you. And when it's self-serve, it's just part of the bundle. We want you to try it. We want you to use it. And make it as easy and fun as possible.
Absolutely. So what did we do over here? What did we actually have to go and improve here from a system perspective to make this feasible?
So we spoke about missing data, and it's active and passive collection in the meaning that we added a metrics collection from the sensor, and we also improved our self-served integrations. And it's now easier than ever to connect to our AWS and Azure and GCP data to groundcover, as well as installing your sensors on more clusters, or even just connecting open telemetry. All of this was possible before, but now it's even easier and better.
And we of
And
course want all of our customers to go and to bring as much data as they can into their
yeah,
backend because we don't charge based off of that. So them having all of that data in one place, given is valuable for them, it allows them to get a 360 of how does their entire app look? What do they want to see? So we're very much in favor. We've invested a lot in terms of bringing that data into their backend.
yeah. And also, very, very important, we improved our query language. As we said earlier, we replaced very complex JSON objects that only we and only some of us knew how to use to a single expression, very readable, understandable, very easy to LLMs to write code that will switch from or translate from one like system A, as you said, to ground cover. And we improved it heavily and like developed more and more features, and it was very, very important. And next thing is that we improved our visualizations to support beautiful dashboards with sections and variables and a few different types of all the important widgets that you might have. And a good example for that was the data widget. And the data widget shows you a table with, raw logs, traces, events, etc. And we saw that this is the most common, one moment, sorry, the most common widget type across dashboards. So we added this and also improved our time series, our tables, our top lists, pies, everything was heavily improved.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been almost a direction in terms of having that be our guiding light and allowing us to go and make sure that we build the best around it and allow us to go and build something we're really, really proud of and allows us to get value in many different vectors. So it was super cool, the path taken. Can we click through? Yeah, this is a really interesting one. Obviously, KPIs, when we talk about it as a product person, is something we love to love. And when we talk a little bit about what does it mean to go into have KPIs around a project like this, to me, it's both challenging and exciting to go and define. So today, KPI number one is 90% of monitors and dashboards can be moved in 10 minutes. Why did we say 90% here? Because we know that there are going to be tail ends there that organizationally you need to look into, you need to check, you need to validate, you need to verify some exception to every rule that created something that, maybe we aren't able to map the relevant metric. There's something missing there that needs to be looked deeper into. And our goal here is not to cover 100%. Our goal here is to cover 90% in a way that allow you to move very quickly and to spend the time on that tail end in a way that you wouldn't be able to do if you didn't have the solution. Because if you didn't have the solution, everything would need to be given the same amount of love. And here, that's not the case. You could do 90% very quickly, and 10% you could go and dig in with that additional time that you have organizationally to go and manage this migration. We secondly want every single new customer moving over from a legacy observability platform to use a solution. And we're seeing that de facto since we rolled this out. Every single customer is interested, every single customer is using it. Apologies. And that's not surprising, right? Nobody wants to create more work for themselves. If you have this tooling available, you're going to use it. And I think from an engagement point of view, that's a hypothesis that makes sense, and I'm glad to see. And the last one here is a little bit less measurable, right? But we want every single user to see where they need to invest their time. Like I said before, that last 10% to allow you to go and very easily see what do you need to look at, how do you need to deal with it, what steps do you want to take, and so on. And not only to do the part that we could do quickly, but rather to allow you to go and to be able to understand where do you need to laser focus onto.
Yeah. Oh, okay. The fun time.
We've gotten to the moment of truth.
Yeah. I will immediately share my demo environment. So this is groundcover for those of you who sees it for the first time. Migrations are here in the settings, open to all of our customers, as we said, with no like bundling or anything. This is also part of the groundcover magic. Everything is one package, one bundle. I already created a new migration project, but the process here is very, very simple. You just enter a migration name, you immediately get a new migration project, and once you fetched your assets from, in this example, Datadog, just need an API key and application key with the right permissions, and in few seconds you will see your monitors and dashboards and data sources from Datadog in groundcover. So here, for example, we show you the status of each one of the monitors. This one was a monitor I recently migrated from Datadog. You can even see the unsupported monitors. For example, this synthetics monitor is something that we need to support, and we just released our synthetics feature, and we will support that soon, but it's still unsupported, and everything is reflected back to you. Everything is very clear. You can see the warnings in this migration. For example, here we don't support a certain feature. Everything is here. And we also fetched metadata from Datadog. When was it last modified? What its status in Datadog? It can help you get a decision on where to start, when to start look at. And once you click here on the preview button, you will immediately see the translated monitor. And so this is a
to
good
me is
example
gold.
from,
This
yeah,
to me is
yeah,
gold. Being able to do a one-click preview and see the translation itself, I think that's what we spoke about before around putting the team in a place where they could get all of the data to make the best decisions and be as
yeah,
wise as possible here.
yeah, yeah. In this specific example, we translated a Datadog metric to a groundcover native metric. We even knew how to map between each one of the labels from Datadog to groundcover, and we show you a preview of what we have, right? What will be fired once you migrate it, you install it in groundcover. And I think that the wow moment is here with dashboards. This is actually a dashboard from Datadog's catalog. And once I click on the preview, I can immediately see a beautiful dashboard. Almost everything here was migrated, including your sections, your time series, top lists, stats, everything is running based on ground cover metrics with your data. Just beautiful. I think I'm super proud of it. It's like just amazing.
You're completely unbiased.
Yeah. And and also your data sources here. You can see your cloud integrations from Datadog and all your other integrations. And it gives you the visibility into what you have in Datadog, what is needed to be migrated to ground cover, and everything here is managed in app by you.
Very cool. So we see over here at the bottom, we have 3 additional elements. 2 of these elements are in the near future going to be introduced as well. We have log pipeline, so your observability pipeline. We're going to be able to take and kind of ingest the actual observability pipeline running within the source system and then translate it to the syntax that we have running within ground cover. So any logs that are going through will be able to get that additional transformation and enrichment that may be happening. So to make sure that the dashboards and the alerts themselves have all of the relevant fields over here, and logs to metrics, which is a really important piece as well. So being able to go and to take different logs and combining them, merging them to metrics, obviously for the purpose of reducing the kind of storage volume there and making it something that's already built into a meaningful dimension so that you could go and visualize or alert off the backup. That's really cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Great.
Wow.
So that's the last few months of your life, huh?
Yeah.
Great. I think we'll open it up to questions now, if there's
Yeah.
anyone in the audience who has any. If there's any questions as well that we don't have time to get to, then just feel free to reach out and we'll kind of handle them offline, or we'll reach out as well. Cool. First of all, if I'm currently a CoreLogix customer and I wanted to move over, how would that process look? So I think let's talk a little bit, Amir, about what is our plan for incorporating additional legacy observability providers beyond Datadog.
Yeah, I think that most of the important and heavy lifting job was already done for Datadog, and our plan is to support CoreLogix and New Relic migration and also Grafana's migration by Q1 or early Q1 of next year. So that's planned. And you will be able to migrate all of your monitors and dashboards and log pipelines from other vendors to ground cover in just a few clicks.
Very cool. And I have another one here. When will the log pipeline component be introduced as well?
So as I said, yeah, that's also planned for Q1. We've already done most of the job there to as we said earlier, to reduce the risks, and it's already planned for Q1 as well.
Which customers have access to this feature set?
So every new and existing customer have access to this just in the settings panel. Everyone can try it out, and it's available to, you don't need even to talk to us to use it. Very simple, very easy to use.
Great. I think that's it for now, Amir. Thanks for the time. It was a pleasure speaking. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Appreciate that, and
thank you
look forward
much
to hearing from everyone.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.